Mike, Penn State got a really good win against Syracuse. I say that because that was a tough first matchup. They weren't playing a cream puff like a lot of these schools play the first half of the
I
season.
would agree with that, yeah.
On the road in NFL Stadium. I got to ask you first, you just came from listening to the teleconference with Coach Bill O'Brien. Injuries, give me the update. What's going on?
Matt Lehman, tight end, out for the year, knee injury. And Mike Hall, the linebacker, and Kyle Carter, the other tight end who were hurt during the game, are both day-to-day. That's a phrase that we have. We're all day-to-day. A, we're all day-to-day. B, O'Brien uses that phrase a lot, and it means a lot of different things. But at least they're not going to be out for a long time. At least they're going to have those guys, which is big.
You might be able to let these guys sit this weekend. Not as hard a matchup against the Central Michigan as what you just had with Syracuse. Lehman, I just got to say, tough loss. He was a nice safety valve early on in that game against Syracuse, and an area of strength tight end. Right now, if you have two injuries, the two of them, Carter and him, really.
A guy who's
that
and had an amazing career, was at Shippensburg, and it took him a long time to get to Penn State, and really made himself into a player. So it's too bad.
Let's talk about some of the impressions you have from the game. One, O-line, I thought they were going to be pretty good against the running and pass protection. Running, they couldn't get anything going. Why?
I think part of it was that Syracuse game planned for it. We're gonna take the run away and force the freshman quarterback to beat us, which was a pretty good idea until Allen Robinson got in the game after halftime. O'Brien today was pretty adamant about it. The offensive line was fine. We have a good offensive line, and they're going to be fine. O'Brien was very self-deprecating today, and I called the wrong plays. I didn't have us in the right stuff. I think O'Brien sort of feels like he lost the chess match with Syracuse. Syracuse's Scott Schaefer, their new coach, is a guy with a defensive background, and he did some stuff. They did a lot of different formations and things, and I think he kind of feels like he got him a little bit a couple times from the X and O standpoint. So he wanted to blame that more on that stuff than on the O-line.
Interesting. You said Allen Robinson's name. Let's bring up Allen Robinson. He sat out the first half. That's between him and O'Brien. Kept hearing that expression.
Discipline thing of some sort.
Your impressions of Allen Robinson, who seemed to make an impact once he got in there.
As soon as he got in there, they fired the weapon and they went down the field and scored really in two plays, both of which featured him, and he scored the touchdown.
Stop playing around.
He could be. He's a big wide receiver who's very, very athletic. Look him up. Look his basketball exploits up on YouTube if you want to see some slam dunks and stuff. But now he's clearly bigger and stronger. And therefore more able to create space for himself in traffic, bounce off of tacklers, etc. He could be Penn State's first All-American wide receiver since Bobby Ingram, he is their best football player, and he has a tremendous impact on what their offense can do.
Let me ask you the defensive side of it, the ball. I thought they looked pretty good in the first outing.
That was encouraging. That was the encouraging part of it. They did some interesting things. They did a lot of what I think of as nickel packages with an extra D-back in the game, and sometimes it even looked like a dime package with Stephen Obeng Ajapong, who's it's a hard name to say. It's a mouthful, but he is a guy who they're moving all over the place, the way we maybe thought they would with Adrian Amos.
Yeah.
Safety, down the linebacker. There were times when they had a very small, quick-looking unit on the field that looked like the old Miami defenses, or maybe some of the SEC defenses. Really quick, aggressive kids. And on a day when it was, O'Brien said, 104 degrees on the field, they were very fresh and energetic at the end of the game, I thought, on defense. So that was a positive.
I got to bring up Sam Ficken, the kicker. He
I love him.
Confident.
Ficken was doing some kicking. Starkey
Wow.
made a 46-yarder, which was a career high. His second field goal was kind of looked like he was playing a British Open shot under the wind, but it got over the crossbar somehow. He's an amazing story. When you look at where he was a year ago and where he is now, it's very, very impressive.
Can he become a weapon for them, do you think?
Well,
offensive.
I don't think he has huge range. When I think of a kicker who's a weapon, I think of a guy who can make it from 55. I don't think he's that guy. But if he could just do consistently 90% of what he did on Saturday, that's a plus, yeah.
I saved him for last. Your impression of Christian Hackenberg, a quarterback, freshman, and I'll come back to this one. Go ahead. Your impressions first of him, and I'll ask my second question.
I think he has a lot of things that it's amazing to me that an 18-year-old kid who was in high school 3 months ago has. He has that the pocket presence. He has the ability to see the pressure coming. The Tom Brady thing, quick feet in the pocket to move around, create a little extra time for yourself. He's a real good faker. He's a real good little details of the footwork and mechanics of quarterbacking. He seems very, very advanced at for his age. Now, obviously, he made some mistakes. He threw 2 interceptions, one of which set up a touchdown. And that's, I guess, again, that's what you expect from a kid that age. But the arm is certainly there. The tools are certainly there. I think the intelligence and the understanding of what he's doing are certainly there. This guy has a chance. I mean, he's played 1 game in August as an 18-year-old kid, but he has a chance, I think, to be an historically significant player in Penn State's program.
Yeah, but he played that game in an NFL stadium where they're going to hold the Super Bowl in front of 60+ thousand fans.
Yep.
And you see the difference between a quarterback like this who's going to all those elite camps. You see the nuances that he does.
No doubt.
Just being a 4-star. This is a guy that's done the Trent Dilfer.
He's done the whole thing that you start doing when you're 13 years old, which leads to this.
Let me ask you, supposedly these stories are coming out now that for 2 weeks, Hackenberg knew he was going to be starting this game, and the Penn State players knew, and yet O'Brien kept it. Why did he keep it secret, kept it close to the vest, I was trying to say?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think one thing is that it's very important to him to keep Tyler Ferguson happy, and maybe he thought throwing this out at the media would create him reading some things, and maybe even his family reading some things that would create some issues. I think that may be part of it. I think that also it was a thing of the media situation with Hackenberg being such a young guy. Although he let Hackenberg talk to us on Saturday night, I think Bill O'Brien, with all due respect, I think he's a great football coach. I think he was a little anal about this one.
I do think that this had to do with the same thing what Schaefer was doing on the opposite side. You didn't know who his starting quarterback was going to be until game time, and they had a guy that just transferred from Oklahoma.
I forgot. I forgot. I wanted to say. I think you're right.
It could be.
Yeah, I think that was a small part of it. I kind of forgot to say that.
Don't let them sort of game plan for your quarterback a little bit more and watch film.
Again, I think that's being a little anal because I don't think there's much difference there. But yeah, I think that was a small part of it. Little gamesmanship.